Hey everybody, Barry Mankin here in Nashville, Tennessee, and I wasn't going to do a video on this particular house, but I just couldn't help it. Flippers. Alright, so that's all I'm going to say. Flippers. Not always good. Some of them do a pretty good job. These guys, not so much. Okay, so right off the bat, we've talked about this before. Number one, we can't get to that electrical panel. Number two, it's original. House is 1961. Manufacturers say 40 to 50 years is about the extent of a panel. Plus, you know, we're missing we've got a knockout there that's taken out. So a breaker's missing and anybody can get their hand in there and die. Number one. Number two, we would recommend that a certified electrician evaluates the panel, not just some guy that bought the house and says it looks good. Okay? Always do that. Number two, we're going to go in the attic. We got some stuff that happened in here. This looks pretty good. Several issues in here, one of which apparently the water heater's on the ground. Brand new water heater sitting directly on the dirt, which will deteriorate and rust. That's in the crawl space, which I'm sure is not going to be insulated. The floor is not insulated underneath, according to the termite inspector. The ceiling is not adequately insulated. And we have low water pressure throughout. We've got some water leaks. We've got electric throughout. This older home has a myriad of issues in all the outlets. Whether you have an open ground, whether you have a hot ground, or, you know, so again, certified electricians, please. Older homes, you got to do it. So every room has something with that. Oh, we're just going to go over the whole flip situation. This is just a brief overview on the inside part of the house as it relates to flips. These windows are original. They're also dangerous. Why? Because the short is what they call safety glazing. All right, so that just means it's a single pane window that will break and cut somebody. So not tempered glass, and we have to call that a safety hazard because we don't want anybody to get hurt. Number two, they're very inefficient as it relates to energy. So, but that's second to safety. Now they did replace a couple windows, you'll see that. Anytime you see original windows like that, they're going to get called out, if you will. Now, we see this all the time too. You see this open area? This is just a thin piece of Luan here. No insulation. So it's the same thing as not having insulation, right? So they'll put either a tent in there and or put something solid on this guy as it relates to like a 1-inch foam board or something like that to insulate that. So you've got this whole hole right here. All your energy is going directly up. All right? So that's another one. Now they did do a good job on the floor here, which is pretty good. But we're going to check out the attic. Sorry for it's going to be a longer video. Oh, okay, right here. See that? Drive nail through a hole in metal bracket. Those are screws. Screws do not have the same threshold or shear strength as a nail. So they always say 16 penny nails when you add these guys, and it seems like a small deal, but really, I'm nervous about being on here, okay? So there's a reason why engineers make big money, because they know what they're talking about most of the time. And when they give us the instructions for these manufacturers, we want to always go by those manufacturer instructions, whether it's an appliance, whether it's just a physical ladder like this heading into the attic. We just want to make sure that we're doing exactly what the manufacturer calls us to do. Number 28. All right, open junction boxes, old wiring. Why didn't they just put a piece of new wire from here to here and then that's open? Okay, we've got a little bit of moisture here. We've got one vent. There's just so many things. Okay, so that one vent, it's a roof vent, right? Number one, it's not all the way open. Number two, it's the only one on this house. Now, it is a smaller house, but you need twice that much ventilation. The problem is, it doesn't vent anything. There's no out here on the eaves, if you can see that area, that's completely closed all the way around the house. That means it's not drawing any energy or air from the outside to actually do ventilation. So it's just going to draw it from the inside of the house that much more, and that means it's also going to draw from the crawl space that much more. You get what I'm saying here? Air quality, everything bad. So you can see some moisture actually collecting on the eaves. We've got the hot and the cold meeting. So you got to have ventilation. You got to have either a ridge vent, or you got to have these roof vents to where the soffits are open. In this particular case, it's a hip roof. So soffits are typically where you're going to have some holes in there, and it's going to draw up from the soffit up through here and then into that vent and out. That helps with the moisture. That helps with the flash level of the wood, so that the wood doesn't get too hot in the summertime and then lose, it just becomes brittle, and if there was a fire, it would just go up really fast. So we don't want that. All right, so we've got that. We've got a leak over here at the plumbing vent. Okay, plumbing vents. Brand new roof on here. So why is it leaking? I'll tell you why it's leaking. I haven't been out there yet, but I guarantee what we're going to look at is the old vent, or the old plumbing boot on the vent, and that probably is compromised, and they just put it right back on. I see that all the time. The rubber around that boot is just, deteriorating, and water gets in. It always gets in. Water, water, water. We talk about that all the time. All right, so main thing, ventilation, wiring, always the wiring in an older home. And then this guy over here, we've still got a leak, and it's a brand new roof. So again, flippers, be flipping. All right, hopefully this is helpful, and we'll have more. Thanks. Get a good inspection.